Stampers! Welcome to Great Inspirations. My name is Kim Tolbert and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in southeastern Indiana. Thank you for joining me. Today is the second in the series of my product detail videos in which I am focusing on a stamp set or a bundle or maybe even a suite from the Stampin' Up! January through June 2022 mini catalog. And today's featured, it's a bundle, and it's the Flowering Rain Boot stamp set along with the Rain Boot dies. Now, before we go much further, I just want to let you know that there will be a corresponding blog post for this video, and in the description of this video, you will find the link to that blog post. So, let's get on with it here. Here we have the stamp set. As you can see, it has some really nice spring-like images and some greetings. And then here are the dies. And each of these images has a corresponding die. And then there are two other dies. The little hand rake. I keep wanting to call that a trowel, but a trowel is a shovel. This is a little hand rake. And this, you can make some lattice work from it, or just a really neat background. But first, let's take a peek at the stamp set. And here are the images, all stamped. And as you can see, there are a lot of white spots, in other words, highlights as opposed to shadows. And it almost seems that this is a two-step stamping set. And it is sort of, and it is not. Officially, it is not. However, if you want to stamp the tulip leaves and then stamp the tulips right on it, it is a two-step stamping set. But we will talk about in a little while why I think it's not a two-step stamping set. But right now, let's just talk about these images and how, well, I like the images, but I really don't like the white. There's too much white. There's something you can do about that if you care to do it. And here we go. I've stamped the flower pot image right here. And then I just used one of these blending pens. Take it out of the box here. And all I did, we're going to stamp a new one up here so I could show you. Let me get some ink, and this is Cajun Craze ink and the flower pot stamp. Stamp it. And then we're going to take this blending pen, and this is just basic white cardstock, and I'm just going to very lightly move the blending pen over the ink. Now you don't want to go over it too much or stay in one area for too long, because with the basic white paper, if it gets too wet, it will start to pill a little bit. You'll have little pieces of paper that have started to break down. But there you go, and then you will have a little more color if you would care to do that. And then to clean off your blending pen, there you go. Now that is just one way to add a little more color. And as this dries, you'll see more and more of the color. Okay, so there's that. Now I was talking about how it looks like it could be a two-step stamp set, but in reality it's not. As you can see, the tulips do fit on the leaves very nicely. But if you want to stamp it on, let's say, the boots, you're going to see this little line. It's right here on. So what you can do to get an image like this without the line is to mask those lines. And I'm going to do it not with the boots, but I'm just going to use the pot, the flower pot again, and I'll show you what I mean. Let me kind of clean this off a bit. Okay, there we go. That's better. Now I'm going to use just some Scotch tape. Just kind of figure out just about how long this is. Now I'm going to tear this little piece of tape off because I don't need the big giant piece there, and just put it right across that line. This line right here. I probably have my head in the camera, but let's make sure it's on there. And I'll take the ink. We're going to ink it up. Then we can remove the tape. Let me put that over here where I won't get it on everything. And then we can stamp it. Which I see right now I've missed a corner of my pot, but it'll be okay. And then we'll need the tulip leaves. But I don't want to put all of these in here. They don't all fit. So what I did with this stamp, because it's photopolymer, I just cut it in half, or cut it into pieces, and I cut it right here. So I'm going to just use part of it. I'll get some ink. I didn't mask that quite as well as I should have. Then we'll be able to stamp this right here. And I probably should have stamped this down farther because our tulips may have a hard time fitting in there. We'll see. Let's get some ink for our tulips. But as you can see, we don't need all these tulips. And I did not cut this stamp apart because there's just not space. There's just not enough space there. When it stamps, it appears there is, but to really cut and have it into pieces, there's just not enough space, at least for my liking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that other piece of tape that I had. I'm just going to, I have to make sure I mask the right ones. It's these two. Just going to mask these right here. So basically I've just covered the one, because what I can do is with my stamp pad is just ink up to that one. That's all I need to do. And we move the tape, maybe, without getting it all over me. And we'll line these up and stamp. And there we go. And that's how you can make it more of a two-step stamp for the boots and the flower pot, and also the watering can, just by doing a little masking. Okay, so there's just some tips about the stamps. Now let's talk about these dies. And I have some cards here. And as you can see, I've used the die, this one, to cut out the tulips. And I used this one to cut out the leaves, but I just trimmed off the part that I didn't need. So I just stamped the whole thing and then just trimmed off what I didn't need. And then of course, here's the flower pot. So there's that card. And then this one, let's talk about this one first. Here's the boots. And for these boots, another way to get some color instead of using the blending pen is I just stamped on colored cardstock. And this is Bermuda Bay on Pool Party. So there's that card. Like I said, with the die for the boots. And then for this one, I used, of course, the one for the watering can, and for the seed pack, and for the little daisies or asters or whatever you want to call them. And I also used the one for the little hand rake and this lattice work. And made this card. And this was cut out with the Stitch rectangle dies. So I'm pretty sure most of you understand the dies that cut out the images, the stamped images, but let's talk about this die and our little hand rake. So when you die cut them, this is what you'll have. And for the hand rake, I did a couple different things. These two were die cut on basic white cardstock. And this one I colored with the Stampin' Right markers with Real Red and Smoky Slate. This one, again, I cut it out of basic white cardstock and I colored it with Stampin' Blends. And this was the Real Red Dark and the Smoky Slate Light. For this one, I cut out two images. I cut out one in Real Red and one with the silver foil, which was in the previous mini catalog, the holiday catalog, but the silver foil is carrying over, so you can still purchase that if you don't have any. And then all I did was I took the Real Red and I just cut the handle off of it and adhered it to the handle of the silver foil. And that is how I made that one. So those are some options for that. Now, this die, this lattice work, and this one, I really recommend using the adhesive sheets. And all you do is you cut your cardstock to the size you want it, and you cut a piece of this the same size of the cardstock. You adhere it to the back side of your cardstock. Then you put your die on it just like you always do and run it through. And then all you have to do is peel the adhesive off the back and it will adhere to your card. And that's what I did with this one. Now, this die and this image are some kind of cool things about it. Let me get I have this all on a piece of paper towel because I have a lot of pieces here. When you cut out this image, this is what you'll have. And you will get a bunch of these little squares that you could use for something. And of course you will get what you want, your die cut. But you will also get these things right here. And I just snipped them. And I just thought, just snipped them away from the cardstock. And I thought, ooh, you could use those for some backgrounds on a card or just an accent piece. So I thought, oh, that's pretty great. I like to get as much as I can from my dies and stamps. So I was really excited about that. So once again, here are the dies, the rain boot dies. And here are the flowering rain boots stamp set, the stamp set. Having trouble with my words today. And you can buy these separately, or you can save 10% when you buy them together as a bundle. Again, let's take a look at the cards. There you go. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And I hope that this detailed look at the stamp set and the dies gives you more of an idea of what you can do with the stamp set and the dies, if you really like it and would care to purchase it, and would it be worth your time to have it and worth your money as well. But also, you know, you may find out, oh, no, that's not for me, or I just want the stamp set, or I just really like the dies. That's entirely up to you. I just wanted to give you a better look than just looking in the catalog, or just me saying, oh, here's a card I made using these stamps and dies. So thank you for joining me, and until next time, stamp happy!